Hi, I'm Callie, and this is my leadership assessment on the Department of Juvenile Justice. So, Department of Juvenile Justice overview. So, again, the mission of juvenile justice is to reduce and prevent juvenile delinquency by effectively intervening, educating, and treating youth in order to strengthen families and increase public safety. ADEI is important in DJJ because it makes it so every youth and their families are able to get the support and services they need in order to be successful. And we provide a range of services and programs to fit the needs of every juvenile that goes through the system. So our leadership on the state level starts with Josh Stein, which is our governor of North Carolina. He implements the state laws, signs executive orders, and oversees the governor's crime commission. Directly underneath him is that Governor's Crime Commission, which is the chief advisory body to the governor and to the Secretary of the Department of Public Safety, which includes 43 appointed members. Usually they are judges, lawyers, other lawmakers that have been appointed by the commission, and then there is a governor's chair that does get appointed by him directly. And then right underneath that is William Lassiter, which is the Deputy Secretary over the Division of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. And he plans and directs operations of the JJDP division and oversees the juvenile facility operations, court services, community programs, and intervention and treatment programs. Then on the county to district level is the area administrator, which supervises the chiefs in their areas, specifically in their districts. Every district has a different uh, chief court counselor, and then they report to the deputy secretary and the governor and ensures that the organization is following all laws at all times. Underneath him is Philip Spate, which is the chief court counselor. He currently is in Stanley County. Our district is Union County, Anson County, Stanley County, and Richmond County. So he predominantly is in Stanley County, but comes down into Union. But he approves decisions for secure custody orders, meets with police and judges, attends meetings with other chiefs in the other districts, as well as the area administrators. Underneath him is the supervising court counselors, which supervises all the court counselors, provides trainings as necessary, goes to Raleigh for meetings, and attends the JCPC meetings, as board members and uh, they report to the chief court counselor and they supervise, again, the court counselors, so juvenile court counselor, they're the ones that physically carry a caseload. They meet with the juveniles, provide support, place them into programs, reports to the supervising court counselor. They also are making sure that community service is up to date. They're getting their hours. And overall, again, just supervising them, making sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing while they're on probation for 6, 9, or 12 months, or while they're on a diversion plan. So the Governor's Crime Commission, their mission is to improve the quality of life of North Carolina residents, enhance public safety, and reduce and prevent crime by improving the criminal justice system. They provide statistics on the Department of Public Safety website for the total number of crimes in the state for the previous year and break it down by county. Currently, if you go on there, they only have as far back as 2023. They haven't input the number for 2024, but it does say that you can break it down county by county so you can see how many crimes are reported in Union County, as well as the top 10 crimes by percentages and if they were against person, property, or other. And then you can still see that as well for the state total, as well as the county. They also have grants planning and management. They are designated to uh, apply for federal criminal justice funding from the U.S. Department of Justice on behalf of the state of North Carolina, so that juvenile justice is able to get funding through the Department of Justice. And they also host workshops on grant writing and grant management so that different places can kind of see how they can get grants, what's the best way to write it, and then also what's the best way to manage their money when they are given grant. There are tons of programs all throughout North Carolina. I know in Union County, we do have a handful of them that all have to go through kind of that grant management process and applying for grants every year. So they also will host workshops up in Raleigh for that. So what is ADEI? So it stands for Anti-Racism, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. It promotes racial justice, ensuring that everyone has a fair and equal opportunities, creates an environment where everyone feels welcome and respected, and provides improved employee engagement, better decision making, increased productivity, increased innovation, and increased financial performance. So how does the Department of Juvenile Justice align with ADEI? So they hire people from many different backgrounds in order to ensure that the juveniles are represented by the court counselors and the services that are provided. There's also the JCPC program. I had kind of talked about that in the last slideshow, but they aim to have a variety of ages, genders, and ethnicities on the board. Again, these are also appointed to the board. There is a voting process and everything, but they do try to reach out to people, variety of age, genders, and ethnicities, just so that everyone is, you know, represented for the juveniles, and it's not just predominantly white or predominantly black. They have a wide variety that makes it up so that they can make more ethical decisions that align with ADEI. And especially when it comes down to funding and stuff like that for the programs, making sure that there is a wide variety of ethnicities and genders on the board so that they can again make the more ethical decisions about what's going on in that particular program, and if that program is also aligning with ADEI. And then they provide training on the individual level relating to ADEI, and every year we have a red training that provides information on the demographics of the juveniles that have been through the system in the previous fiscal year for the district. Our fiscal year starts in July, so our fiscal year for 2024 is about to end, so we'll get information related to that soon. But we can see we had the 2023 one recently. It just breaks down the demographics. So based on income, the areas of our 4 counties of where they're kind of coming from that make up our total numbers, demographics and ages, as well as it does break down the crimes, just like how I said previously on the Department of Public Safety website. Now for the Department of Public Safety website, you cannot see the juvenile crime stats. They don't allow you to see those. Those are all the adult stats. But as court counselors, we do get the red training and kind of see what our demographics are, and that also helps with the programs because it kind of we're allowed to share with them the demographics of what's going through. They can kind of see it themselves, and we can kind of provide more funding for those specific areas depending on the crime level. So again, the mission and vision of Department of Juvenile Justice. So the mission is to reduce and prevent juvenile delinquency by effectively intervening, educating, and treating youth in order to strengthen families and increase public safety. And our vision is a seamless, equitable, comprehensive juvenile justice system that fully invests in the success of our employees and provides timely, age-appropriate services to youth and their families in need in the most appropriate settings. Now we do have a different kind of variety of task groups that I'm going to go over just so that there is some better understanding about what they are. So the first one, again, JCPC, is the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. So they galvanize community leaders locally and statewide to reduce and prevent juvenile crime. Again, they hold meetings monthly. I think it's every third week. They have a designated day in each county on when they meet. It's open to the public, anyone can go, but they kind of talk about the different areas that are in need. There's an agenda that they go over. And then if they have any funding or updating to funding, any demographic work, trying to get people in, because sometimes there's not a full board. I know Richmond County does not have a full board currently, so they're trying to host elections on who's gonna be on that board and finding someone. Then there is a subgroup for the task groups from the North Carolina Department of Public Safety that they've created for juvenile justice. So the first one is the Comprehensive Service Plan group. They ensure that youth involved in the juvenile justice system have a comprehensive family and youth-driven service plan that coordinates with the work of multiple systems, including juvenile justice, treatment, education, and other positive community-based supports. So again, we do have a variety. I can kind of talk about them after, but we have a variety of different just support groups that we're able to put the juveniles in to kind of get them some help while they are in our care and we're supervising them. So the next one is family involvement. Family involvement is crucial for the successful intervention and outcomes. Parent or guardians are expected to attend court hearings and comply with court orders, which may include parental responsibility classes, payment for services, and substance abuse evaluations. Typically, we don't have any payment for services here in Union County. Everything is free unless they cut off an ankle monitor, then the juvenile could potentially have to pay that back. And then restitution, but that is designated by a judge, but parents don't have to pay that back. That is through the juvenile. But we do have sometimes parents will have to go through substance abuse evaluations as well as the juvenile will have to do substance abuse evaluations as well, and then the parental responsibility classes, that does happen a lot. We have the having to comply with court orders, that is they are legally obligated to do that from the judge. They do get subpoenaed for every court date for their juvenile. And then the other thing is we use Dash Counseling as one of our services. So if there is issues in the household, we can get families into Dash Counseling to kind of do a family counseling and talk about issues that are going on within the family with a licensed counselor. So continuing on to that, two more subgroups. So we have the workforce development / education, which provides oversight of the education programming in youth development centers, so the YDC, the juvenile detention centers, and contracted community-based residential programs. That would be such like ECHRD that I had talked about in the last presentation, which is the outdoor wilderness program that you can get sent to if you're not following the outlines of your probation. And the workforce development education is charged with fulfilling all state and federal mandates of a traditional school system. So even though some of our juveniles are in the YDC, they are still required to take classes and follow a traditional school system. Same if they're on probation, and they're not allowed to attend school, they are still asked to be homeschooled or they have to be in the Union County virtual. And then they also provide workforce training in a variety of fields to juvenile in the YDC as well as to juveniles on probation. I did want to talk about that. So we do here in Union County, we have a Creative U program. So that is working with music development, music video production, and just video production as a whole, music production, to kind of get kids interested in that, kind of get them looking at what could potentially be a field, kind of making them kind of think about their future. We also have a Kids at Work program. So that is a cooking program, teaches kids the basics of food safety, how to cook. At the end of it, if you're successful, you can get the Serve Safe certification. And then we also have a developing parents program. So if a juvenile is a parent themselves, they can go and attend classes, parenting classes, like just basic parenting skills that they would need throughout their life, especially as their child is in the baby infant stage. And then we do have a work program. So a lot of juveniles are interested in this one because they do get paid roughly $700 at the end. But it's like a shadowing program. So a lot of what they're doing is they're kind of doing resumes, they're kind of learning how to interview, going through those skills, and then they have to do a job shadowing with anyone they choose. And then at the end, you do get paid for it, which a lot of people are very interested in that one, especially juveniles. And then our last task group that we have is the data quality and indicators, which uses data dashboards to monitor and analyze juvenile justice data. These dashboards provide a 5-year snapshot of trends, including key metrics like complaints received, diversions from court, court-ordered supervision, detention, admissions, and youth development center commitments. Again, we do that in our RED program that it comes from Raleigh. That's every year we get that training. But they also, again, they have that 5-year snapshot. So we do go back and kind of look at what the trends were, at least the previous year compared to now, and how it's kind of changed and how our supervision has grew or regressed, dependent on county by county. So how do these task groups support the vision or mission? So again, just to kind of repeat, the mission was to reduce and prevent juvenile delinquency by effectively intervening, educating, and treating youth in order to strengthen families and increase public safety. And the vision was a seamless, equitable, comprehensive juvenile justice system that fully invests in the success of our employees and provides timely, age-appropriate services to youth and their families in need in the most appropriate settings. So I want to kind of go through each of the task groups and how they support our mission and vision for juvenile justice. So JCPC, they grant funding for services in the county in order to provide juveniles and their families with resources to educate the youth. The comprehensive service plan allows for a seamless and comprehensive juvenile justice system by creating a plan for each juvenile based on their needs and their strengths and weaknesses. Family involvement strengthens families in order to create an increase in public safety, also helps with a decrease in reoffenders. Same with the next one, the workforce development education. They provide education to juveniles to reduce juvenile delinquency and prevent them from becoming reoffenders and re-entering our system again as juveniles or again as an adult. And then data quality and indicators helps DJJ stay informed on juvenile justice data in the county and in the state, and it provides success to the employees so they know the demographics of the juveniles that they are serving. And then finally, collaborative decision making. So decisions about cases are up to the supervising court counselor. They ultimately do have the final say. However, juvenile court counselors do still have a huge say in the result of the decisions and can talk through with their supervisor why they believe that another way is the best way. So things such as programs juveniles are recommended to, the type of community service they do, and any violations they have to staff with their supervisor on any decisions. This also includes if a child is going to go on a diversion plan or if they're going to go to court. That is also staffed with the supervising court counselor to kind of make that decision. And a lot of factors go into that, such as family background, the juvenile's background, if they've been a repeat offender already. And then just overall, like what the crime was that determines if it's just going to be a diversion plan or if it's going to go to court and they're going to ultimately be disposed of that crime. And then court counselors are encouraged to speak at the JCPC meetings. Again, it is open to the public, but we are required to attend all of the JCPC meetings. So they are encouraged to speak at them so they are able to voice their concerns and opinions into the community, and they were able to advocate for juveniles under their supervision. So that does help with kind of talking about the programs into the JCPC meeting and kind of comes down for decision making. They are able to kind of think collaboratively with their supervisor and in JCPC meetings with board members as well. Thank you for listening.